What's up guys? The Shadowkeep build-up is slowly kicking into gear, and today we're going to jump in with some new info. We've got a new content premiere coming up, a look at some brand new perks and mods, details about Shadowkeep install sizes, roundups from Bungie, and a look at a mysterious new enemy in the DLC. So we'll touch on that as well as some confirmations about Crosssave, Solstice this year, and future updates. So guys, if you enjoyed the video, a rating really helps me out, but now let's get into it. First up, we have a few more answers to some of the slew of questions about Solstice Armor and Armor 2.0, and I've seen no end of questions on the channel as well. So DMG confirmed you can masterwork armor after Solstice has ended this year, so you don't have to do that within the window of the event, and it shouldn't affect the title either because the title is part of Moments of Triumph, which is going on until Shadowkeep launches. Do be aware though that Solstice will still end on the 27th of August, but there were some other questions. Why aren't the uncommon and rare Solstice armors applicable as ornaments on the legendary set? Of course, last year, even when you had the maxed out set, you could change the visuals to any of the kind of drained versions or renewed versions. But DMG also clarified these should be available as ornaments on the 2.0 versions which we get in Shadowkeep. And yes, the glows are also going to work on them as well. So when we get those 2.0 versions, you will be able to have the visual appearance of any of the Solstice sets. So that's it for the Solstice stuff. A couple of upcoming launch notes though. Deej confirmed that Crosssave will work with Battle.net until the move to Steam in October. And so on August 21st, Crosssave will support Xbox, PlayStation, and PC on Battle.net. And then of course Steam and Stadia will enter the mix later on. Deej also confirmed that game licenses will remain platform specific once we get Crosssave, but it will touch on some new Crosssave things in a few moments, ready for launch on August 21st. For Shadowkeep though, Bungie have announced a series of reveals which we mentioned the other day, so next week we'll get State of the Game Part 1, looking back at the annual pass, and this will be followed by a live stream reveal from Bungie on Wednesday, where we get a better look at the new armor system, as well as some of the customization in Shadowkeep. But a big one they didn't mention will be an announcement at Gamescom. So Jeff Keighley tweeted that more than 15 game publishers will premiere new content and make announcement during Gamescom opening night live. That's going to be on August 19th. Bungie will be on pretty early in the show, but also Google Stadia are going to be on stage, and considering Destiny is one of the kind of launching games for Stadia, it's possible that we could see a little bit more there. Stadia will also be having their own on-stage announcements a little bit earlier on August 19th, so between what we're getting next week, then at Gamescom, be sure to stay tuned for a lot of juicy info in the near future. Another interesting thing about Gamescom is that it doesn't appear that Bungie have kind of a booth, so we're not sure if Destiny will be playable anywhere, although there will be a Google Stadia booth, so once again it's possible that Bungie could show some stuff off on Stadia instead. So I'll keep you posted on all of that news, gonna be a pretty exciting time. Next though, we did get a brief preview of new mod icons the other day, but thanks to MVP Visions and I Have Toes on Reddit, we can now get a better look at a lot of these bonus icons. And so initially, we see most kind of armor perks in the game right here. Enhanced weapon bonuses, loaders, ammo perks, recovery, even stuff like traction can be spotted in there, as well as Leviathan perk icons. So maybe Bungie are rolling some of those out as optionals, or even letting them work elsewhere in the game. But pretty much every armor perk that we have right now will become a mod, which makes total sense. Here though, I have Toes grayed out the old perks so that we can see the new ones, and we have what look like Hive or enemy related bonuses, including what could potentially be mods to affect Hive weapons. They do have these kind of targeting style icons, but we also see skull icons, and I would guess there's a reasonable chance these could be finishing move perks. Luke Smith confirmed the bonuses for these will be on armor pieces, and Bungie told us that we'd see bonuses that grant things like ammo back on finished kills, and we can see an icon that could work for that right there. And then we have new weapon bonus icons, not sure what these will actually do, but trace rifles are included, so that's pretty cool. And just from looking, this gives us a real good idea of how Bungie are doing it, and we're going to have a lot of options. This probably doesn't actually include all of the bonuses that we'll ultimately see. We'll get a much better idea next Wednesday, but for now, yeah, let us know your thoughts about changing these perks into mods, or what you think they could potentially do. Here we have a piece of info that could be really useful. So now we can see the expected storage requirements for Destiny 2 with Shadowkeep, and especially for console players, it's worth taking note that the listed requirement, this is for PlayStation right here, but the site says 165 gigabytes of storage space required as of the 1st of October. So of course, if that's the case, it is a lot of space for a game. Let us know how you guys feel about that, especially if your storage is getting kind of full. You may have to rejig a little bit. Personally, for me on Xbox, I did pick up an SSD once I decided to get a 1X, and it makes an absolutely massive difference to load times, especially when there's so much of it to actually load. And for consoles now at least, you can pick up USB 3.0 SSDs, which aren't strictly cheap depending on your budget, but they are getting a little bit more accessible, especially since you don't need the kind of expensive USB-C stuff on consoles, so it could be a good shout. But nonetheless, don't forget the space that we're going to need come October, and we do have a year of content following that, so I'd imagine it's easily going to be pushing 200 gig by the end of year 3. Now though, let's talk about a new enemy in Shadowkeep, specifically an enemy which can be seen in the Black Garden in the press release. So we spot this lone, kind of obscure Taken looking enemy, sort of like a much spinier meatball in Gambit, or even kind of similar to a Vex Gorgon, but it's very obviously different to anything that we've seen in Destiny before. And Hacksays on Reddit pointed this out, but it's pretty interesting because we also see this, which is a Guardian fighting this enemy as a Nightmare on the Moon. And since we see it in the Black Garden, if you look at early concepts of the Heart of the Black Garden from before D1 came out, it is frighteningly similar to the enemy we see on screen. This is a concept piece by Dorje Belbrook, and it's even titled Black Heart. Really curious because in the final Black Garden mission in D1, the heart actually takes a kind of different shape, with the tentacles as more of a background effect as it turns into this sort of metallic orb. But it looks entirely possible that Bungie are going back to that early concept of the Heart of the Black Garden. Maybe this is going to be a raid enemy, but of course we do see it in what looks like campaign content. So really curious stuff. And of course the raid itself is called Garden of Salvation, and that kind of suggests that something big is happening there. And it's likely going to be the Guardians who head into the garden to restore that balance, as the name sort of suggests. So really interesting stuff. I wonder whether the Heart of the Black Garden is alive and has been corrupted or something. But regardless of any other speculation, it also pretty much confirms that the Vex link for Shadowkeep in general is fairly significant, and it isn't purely some sideline thing, you know? As we saw in Forsaken, we did have a new enemy with the Scorn, but the Hive and the Taken was still a massive focus. So Bungie are definitely leaning into having different things going on with different enemy factions and blending them together. Also, it appears that we're seeing raid gear concepts on the screen, and yes, they are pretty much modelled on the Garden Vex. We even see this specific variant of Vex defending the portal beneath the surface of Luna, much like they did at the original Valley of Kings portal on Mars in Destiny 1. But yeah, that gear is literally the Undying Mind kind of themed gear from Destiny 1, smashed into this kind of VOG style gear, I guess. I think it has the potential to be absolutely awesome. Let us know your thoughts below though on how the Vex are linked to Shadowkeep, but also that enemy that we've seen, especially considering we've barely got a look at it, but it's kind of been super vaguely teased. It's probably going to be a fairly significant part of what's going on in general. Also on the subject of Shadowkeep though, of course we are getting universal ornaments, but Luke Smith did remind players that Bright Dust is now going to be earned from Vanguard, Crucible and Gambit bounties, and not by dismantling Eververse stuff. Eververse items can all be pulled from collections with Glimmer and Legendary Shards instead of Bright Dust. But also, dismantle any of your unused Eververse items to maximize your Bright Dust reserves. Anything that you currently own and are not using can be reclaimed from the collections when Shadowkeep launches. On top of this, you can do the same with shaders. So yeah, if you haven't done that already, definitely don't forget about it. Also here, we get a little bit more of an idea of how Crosssave is going to work. So your active character set will be the characters that will be playable on all of your connected platforms. And from what it says in the setup page preview here, your silver and clan will be based on these characters. So for folks wondering about clans, it looks like you'll essentially take the clan that your main characters or account are set to, so when it comes to selection, you nominate certain characters to be the mains with Crosssave, and the clan that your main account is on will be the one that you are part of on any of the selected crossplay platforms. There could possibly be additional options to choose a clan as we go through the process, but we can see that the selected characters are from the Google platform in the example. It shows what transaction currency we have on each platform, the seasons that the select characters will get access to, and then we can also see on the right the individual platform ownership for different DLC and content. So this user owns Forsaken and Shadowkeep on Google Stadia, and then they own just Forsaken on Steam, but none of the DLC on Xbox. And this is the kind of setup screen itself, so it gives us an idea of how things are going to work. But as Bungie announced, character gear will be available on any platform with Crosssave once you own it on one of the platforms. So you could own all of the DLC on PC, for example, but own none of it on Xbox, and you can use Teraba or Anarchy still on Xbox, but you wouldn't be able to go and actually play Scourge of the Past or the Crown of Sorrow Raid because they are DLC content or activities, right? So either way, it's good to get a better look at how this is going to work. And once again, Crosssave is going to launch on Xbox, PlayStation, and Battle.net on August 21st. And then once we've got the Steam platform set up, as well as Google Stadia, those will be included with that Crosssave functionality. A random quick shout right here, but Baku Fanatic on Reddit pointed out that we're possibly seeing a 3-player emote right here. This is from the Steam trailer, but of course we are seeing those Guardians with that awesome Luna themed gear. But yeah, with next week coming up, all of the content reveals and the PvP announcements that Bungie are going to be making a little bit later on, with Gamescom in between, I'm going to have plenty of new Destiny stuff to talk about with you guys over the next few weeks. For today though guys, that's everything we've got to talk about in the video, so as always I'd love to hear your thoughts about any of it down below, but if you've enjoyed this one, a like really helps me out, and if you're new to the channel, be sure to hit subscribe if you want to keep up to date with everything relating to Destiny 2. For now though, thanks a lot for tuning in, and whatever you get up to, I hope you have an awesome day.